I decided to make a video. I like making videos here in the dining room because of the light. If I make them in my main study, it's too dark, and if I go down the lower level where our library is, due to the lighting, it doesn't do well when I record on these cameras. So I do it in the dining room where I like the lighting. So yeah, so it is 8:34 at night. It is 76 degrees in here because we have the air conditioner on, we're central air on. It's been kind of cloudy and kind of humid the last couple of days here in West Michigan. I live about 15 minutes from Lake Michigan here in Holland, Michigan. Of course, my name is Johnny. I was born in August 14, 1952 in Oakland, California. I'm one of the older guys. Most of the people on BookTube seem to be younger than me. I was born in the 50s, and here I am, and I just turned 64 years old, and I've been a bookworm all my life. I've always loved books since I was a boy, and I've always lived in books. I'm very introverted, and I just live my life either writing in my diary, which I have been doing since high school, which was in the late 60s. Today I finished in my diary on page, I've been keeping a diary, like I said, since I was like 17 years old, 16 years old. Well, when I was 16 years old, in December of 1968, my mother was killed in an auto wreck. So I didn't really begin writing until I was about 11th or 12th grade. I was living in Richmond, California, going to John F. Kennedy High. I was living in a foster family with a woman who was divorced, a Jewish Bohemian who had one son named Kim, who's now a research scientist in the state of Washington. And but I didn't live there. She kind of threw me out, and I lived with a second foster family when I was in 12th grade there in Richmond, California back in '69. So I graduated from high school in 1970 in Richmond, California. But today I ended on 7/32 in my 2016 diary. Tomorrow is the last day of August 2016. I already have my September diaries ready. Of course, I always recognize the fact that I could die in my sleep, or a plane can fall from the sky and land on top of our house and kill me, or we could have the rapture and the church would be raptured out of the world and we would go into the Great Tribulation. It all depends upon your view of eschatology. So I'm sitting here, my wife, as a faithful, hardworking woman, went to work tonight so I can make these videos, because I can't make videos when she's sleeping or when she's home, because I don't want to, when she's sleeping, I don't want to think that somebody's here. My wife sleeps during the day, and if she hears me talking to myself, she might think that there's company here, whether I'm going crazy. But anyway, today I basically read a book I got in the mail yesterday. This is Stanley Helkin's George Miles. I've been reading this the last couple of days, really enjoying it. Like as I mentioned, maybe I wrote in my diary, I want to get all his novels in our diary. So I've been reading that. It says here in the back, an ambitious and digressive and endlessly entertaining account of the 1,000-year history of George Miles. George Mills is the antithesis of the typical Horatio Alger story. Since the First Crusade, there has been always been a George Mills who, despite his best efforts, is unable to improve his position in life or that of his descendants. Instead, all the George Mileses are forced to accept their lot as true blue-collar workers, serving important personages in a series of odd jobs ranging from horse talker in a salt mine to working as a furniture mover in contemporary St. Louis, Missouri. But the latest in the long line of George Mileses may also be the last, as he obsesses about his family's history and determines that he will be the one to break this doomed cycle of servitude. So I mentioned a couple of videos that I found at a thrift store, 2 novels by Stanley Erkin, and I've always been wanting to collect his writings. He's a very important writer in American literary history, should be read. I got in the mail, other night I was surfing the internet and I came across a site and it mentioned a book that caught my curiosity, and I ordered it used from Amazon, and it's Geneva, Telling of Wonders by Paul Metcalf. This was first published in 1965. Geneva is Metcalf's purging of the burden of relationship with his great-grandfather Herman Melville in his signature phonographic style. The life of Melville's use and conversion of the Columbus myth, and the story of Mills' brothers, one an MD who refuses to practice, the other an executed murderer, vibrate and sing a quintessential American song. So I got this. He was part of the Black Mountain group back in, I don't know, it struck my interest and I got it used for a couple of dollars. So yeah, I've been mentioning, and this is like part 2 of the book sale I went to last Friday and Saturday here in Holland, the AAUW Used Book Sale, which is held every year here. And I'm just going to mention a couple of the books that I got. This is part 2. There'll probably be a part 3 because here's the novels. Here's the biographies. I also got this biography in the mail last week on Hogarth. You know my interest in the life of William Hogarth in the 18th century. So I got this by Jenny Huglow. I've been reading with great delight and interest in Jenny Huglow's biography, The Lunar Men, The Friends Who Made the Future. I plan to get her biography on George Eliot in the future because George Eliot is one of my favorite novelists. Her novel, George Eliot's novel, Middlemarch, I think is a work of art. So yeah, but I wanted to mention in this video a part 2 of the AAWU Used Book Sale of Friday and Saturday, the short stories books that I got. I got The Old Forest and Other Stories by Peter Taylor. Peter Taylor is considered by some to be a Southern writer. He writes novels and short stories, and I got into him a couple of years ago. I read some novels by him, and I was really impressed. And I found at the used book sale The Old Force and other stories by Peter Taylor, and then I realized when I got home I already had this book. I also found by John Murray stories, a few short stories on tropical butterflies. These vivid and compelling tales, many set in Africa and Asia, are about immigrants and others facing change and dislocation. The science is never pedantic. Indeed, the language of biology and natural history is used to great lyrical effect. The stories are accomplished and seasoned, remarkably so, given that that is the author's first book. Murray is adept at holding together a complex narrative and creating characters who reach out emotionally to the reader upon the first meeting. Global in scope, classical in form, evocative of place, and deeply emotional, these collection of stories marks the beginning of what promised to be an illustrious career. So I got that at the book sale. It looked interesting. I never heard of John Murray, but I got it for 50 cents. Can't go wrong. So those are the short stories collections I got. In the time remaining here, I don't want to go too long in these videos. I found as I mentioned in previous videos, I collect the writings of Andrei Millerex. I found his anti-memoirs. I recently found a biography on him. It says, the literary and historical document of the first importance, Anti-Memoirs by Andrei Millerex, is among the most significant works of this century. In this book, Millerex tells of those events in his life which have consequences for all men. Mullerex's range of experience is unique, for as a statesman, resistance fighter, novelist, and art historian, he is at once a man of action and a man of letters. Millerex has participated in the most crucial events of our times: the Chinese Revolution, the Spanish Civil War, the French resistance during the Second World War. Since 1958, has served as a minister in de Gaulle's cabinet. He weaves men and events, ideas and descriptions of great works of art into one vast tapestry of human experience, presenting an incessantly changing kaleidoscope of exotic images. He takes the reader from the lost cities and civilizations of Asia and Africa to the torture chambers of the Gestapo. His conversations with such world leaders as Nero and de Gaulle, Mao Tse-tung and Chao In-lay are juxtaposed with reflections on life and death, the immortality and metamorphosis of art, and man's ultimate relationships with the universe. So I got that, and I found this biography of Colette, who was a writer that I've mentioned. I collect her writings. She was French. She was very important in the 20th century. I think she wrote back in the 20s and 30s, and I found a biography of hers. It's called The Secrets of the Flesh, The Life of Colette, by the author is Judith Thorman. I was really pleased to find this for my Colette collection. I just bought a first volume of her biography by somebody, so I look forward to reading this. And I found a biography by Proust, by Ronald Heyman. I found out that when I got home I already had this, but I didn't know that. I got it for 50 cents. You can't go wrong. And lastly, I found a biography that I looked at last year at bookstores by Dana and Michael Preston, pirate of exquisite mind, explorer, naturalist, and buccaneer, the life of William Demeyer. I found this. I was really pleased to find this because I looked at it several times at bookstores and I didn't want to spend the full price for it, hoping that someday I'd find a used copy. And I found a used copy, which I got for, I think I got it for $1. It goes for like, $27. Charles Darwin called his books the mind of information, took them abroad. The Beagle, Jonathan Swift, and Daniel Defoe used his experiences as inspiration in writing Gulliver's Travels and Robinson Crusoe. Captain James Cook depended on his observations while voyaging around the world. Admiral Nelson urged all his officers to study his books. Samuel Taylor Coleridge called him a genius and a man of exquisite mind. In the history of exploration, few have ventured further or achieved more than Englishman William Demeyer. He lived from 1651 to 1715. Yet, whereas the exploits of Magdalen, Cook, and Shackleton, and a host of legendary explorers have been widely chronicled, those of Demeyer have been virtually invisible for more than a century. An admission that Dana and Michael Preston have addressed in this vivid, compelling life story. At a time when surviving a voyage across the Pacific was cause for celebration, Demeyer journeyed 3 times around the world, in sailing more than 200,000 miles in his lifetime and witnessing people, places, and phenomena no pure European has seen. As a young man, he spent several years in swashbuckling company of buccaneers in the Caribbean and the Pacific, learning to survive in his bloodthirsty, uncertain world before setting off on his first journey around the globe. Many a year odyssey, much of it spent in the therefore a mysterious Pacific and Southeast Asia. Later, his best-selling books about his experiences were a sensation. The vividness of his prose and the accuracy of his descriptions put arm-charged readers in the midst of the unknown worlds, introduced many words into English language, including barbecue, chopsticks, and kumquat. Other times, Demeyer's observations and insights influenced generations of scientists and writers. So I was pleased to find that. So that's what I want to talk about in part 2 of the AAUW Used Books Sale that I went to last Friday and Saturday. Next time we'll look at the novels, and we will, Lord willing, look at the nonfiction. So until next time, I'm hoping we'll have a good week. I thank you for all the new subscribers, and do pray that you might have a good week. Bye.